Hello, this video is going over budgeting and really diving into some of the tools we can use and the analysis we can do in order to create a realistic and practical and usable budget and where you can make that. The first thing that I want to talk about is all this research, or sorry, all this studying you've been doing on budgets to highlight a few of the tools that you can use, and Excel and Google Sheets are the two that I would suggest for excellent tools to create a budget. We will look at Google Sheets first. So here is actually a folder of my own. Over the years, I've tried to do a budget for myself a bunch of times, one most recently in 2020 here. If we have Google Drive open and we want to create a budget, we can right click a new Google Sheet and we want to create it from a template. We can also go new over here, Google Sheets, and we want to create it from a template. The reason that we want to use a template is they have a bunch of beautiful templates that you can use to help you think of everything, and a monthly budget is going to be the one from Google Sheets. The reason I start with Google Sheets is because this is free. Everybody certainly has access to it, and it's a place you can go. There are instructions built right in. Only edit the white cells, don't enter the dark cells, and it can make some nice graphics for you to go along. So when we're making a budget, we can choose what we're planning to spend. If you're thinking about the future, you will only use the planned section. And this can be a hint as to all of the different types of expenses that we may have over our month. We'll have to buy food, we may have to buy gifts, any health and medical, like medicine or haircuts, how much for rent, your car. Thinking of everything that you will spend, comparing it with everything you will earn, we can then get a budget for the month. Okay. Google Sheets is a good start, but the categories are very limited. It can be hard to think of what goes in for personal, what goes in for utilities. These are very broad categories. So my second suggestion would be, if you have access to Microsoft Excel, the Excel personal budget template is much more extensive. So for me, because I've used it recently, it's in my right on the first front page here with personal monthly budget. But if you go to new, here will be a long list of templates. You should see it in these short ones. You can also search. There's a ton online. But once we find our personal monthly budget, we can create it. Again, it starts with a page with some instructions. Try not to delete formulas. But clicking down here will take us to our personal monthly budget. Now, this one has the same process of adding up expenses. The expenses are down here. Adding up income. Income is here. It will be much easier to come up with these numbers because there's many more categories. Transportation is broken up into your car license, your car fuel, your car maintenance. If you have a payment, if you ride the bus, put zeros in these if you're not going to ride the bus, if you have no insurance, if you don't have a license, if you don't have a car. But if you have groceries, if you go to McDonald's once in a while, if you're buying some toys for your pets, it's very easy to not forget anything using this template to get all of your costs together. The last thing that I want to talk about for creating a budget is for coming up with these projected costs. There are 3 strategies you can use. The first one is to guess. That's completely reasonable for somebody starting out. If you're making a budget, just guess what your phone costs a month. Just guess how much you're going to spend on the bus that week. It's better than doing nothing. It'll at least get you in a ballpark to seeing it all added up, to seeing your total projected, at the bottom here, your total projected cost is a useful number from your guess. The second place you can go to look up is do some research. There's lots of work on personal budgeting, ways that you can estimate how much to expect to spend on water or sewer if you're thinking of moving out. How much are you going to spend on groceries if you move out? And then the last thing, and I think maybe the most useful thing, is look at your spending. If you have a bank account, if you have a credit card, all of your spending is tracked by the bank. Copy and paste it into Excel, copy and paste it somewhere, add up how much you spent in groceries for a month, add up how much you spent on bus rides in a month, and that can be a good starting point for your estimates for adding it all up. The other analysis tool I wanted to look at is Okay, yeah, so we talked about the complete categories through estimating research or using your personal data. And the key thing, always plan to spend less than you make. That's the number one thing with a budget is you're trying to determine how much you're spending and how much you're making and to find this comparison to make sure that you're not planning on spending more than you make. Quick example just to cover things that some of the math coming up in the unit. They ask us questions about if she puts 8% into savings, which was 236 last month, how much more would she put into savings if she's increasing her savings to 11%? So this is a budget analysis tool. How much more does she need to put into savings if she wants to increase her savings from 8% to 11%? My suggestion for answering these types of problems is figure out what 1% is. So if we have $236 and that was 8%, if we divide this into 8 equal pieces, we'll know how much 1% of savings is. So 236 divided by 8 is $29.50. So if we go back here, so every 1% of savings is $29.50. So to go from 8 to 11, that's increasing by 3%. So 29.50 times by 3, that is going to be $88.50 would be the solution to this problem. Okay, there are some tools for creating a budget, coming up with the figures in your budget, and analyzing some of the portions of your budget.